Hello, this is YouTube channel 100 Green, YouTube channel of Green Transformation of Ukraine. I'm Dmitry Vasilov, and our guest today is Hans-Josef Fell, founder and president of the Energy Watch Group, a world-known energy and climate change advisor, author, and speaker. Hans-Josef Fell was a member of the German Parliament Group Alliance 90, the Greens, from 1998 to 2013, and he served as spokesperson on energy for this parliamentary group. He was also a member of the Environmental Protection Committee, substitute member of the Committee on Economics and Technology, and substitute member on the Defense Committee. Together with Hermann Scheer, he authored the 2000 draft of the Renewable Energy Source Act, establishing the foundation for the technology development of photovoltaic, biogas, wind power, and geothermal energy in Germany. Wow, I think this is extremely fantastic improvements which you made with your activities for Germany and Europe and the world. And I know that you are very active for helping Ukraine to be on the same track. So I think our focus of our interview will be Ukraine, and of course we'll talk in general about your experience in Europe and in Germany, and what you will suggest to Ukraine. So the topic of our interview is re-stimulation. Okay, and the first question is, Hans-Josef, you are one of the pioneers and leaders of renewable energy in Germany and Europe. What was exactly your motivation? Why you were so active on this? And from your perspective, what worked of your plans and what didn't work and why, you think?
The motivation is a long history. It began in the 70s of the last century. We could see plenty conflicts, wars in the world. Most were caused because of oil. We remember in 2073, we had a war behind Israel and Palestine, the Yom Kippur War, and the OPEC, Arabian states mostly, cancelled the serving oil to the Western Hemisphere. We had a big oil crisis. I learned oil is possible to be used as a weapon in wars. And this is very dangerous. And in this time, I began to motivate, we must become independent from oil, from gas, from coal, as well as uranium for nuclear power. Because all these resources are coming from some few countries, and they can make this consumption of the resources as a weapon for the world. So when we want to get peace in the world, we have to switch to domestic renewable energies. Solar energy, wind energy, hydropower, bioenergy, geothermal is everywhere on the world. We have enough on them, on every place on the world. With a mix of them and with storages together, so we can secure our energy demand very, very easy when we develop the technologies. This was one motivation. The second motivation was we could see the disasters what nuclear power brings to the world. Nuclear power emits radioactivity, and we have a lot of illness in the population because of radioactivity. In Ukraine, you have about 100,000 ill people because of the disaster of the Chernobyl accident. And until today, because radioactivity is still in your country. Yeah. And we have no solution for nuclear waste. No one knows where to go to. And we see also nuclear power is very, very expensive. it can be paid only when state budget is financing this nuclear power station. No one in the world, any private energy company invested into nuclear power alone. They every time got only subsidizing by public money, and we would need the public money for education, for infrastructure, for climate protection and others. So therefore, we want to cancel nuclear power and replace it with 100% renewables. And the third motivation is we could see that all the conventional energies, fossil and nuclear, emits a lot of polluting the world, mostly greenhouse gases. And greenhouse gases are emitted by oil, by gas, by coal in a huge amount. 60% of all greenhouse gas emissions in the world are caused by the use of oil, gas, and coal. We see in the meantime what happens. In 1990, we exceeded the global barrier, what is a barrier that we should not exceed when we look to the climate protection. 380 parts per million are the border. No, not 380, 350 parts per million is the limit what we should not exceed as a humankind to save our life because of increasing the world temperature. Now today we stay at 420 parts per million. This means the atmosphere is already overloaded and it is not acceptable. And we see it how fast the temperature is rising in the world. In this year we await 1.4 degrees global warming higher than the pre-industry level. 1.5 would be the limit what we accepted in Paris Agreement, all nations, nearly all nations in the world, that we should not be higher. And we see already today the disasters, flooding, heat waves. We see a lot of rising sea level and plenty more. Storms, thunderstorms, they destroy already in an amount that it is like a war against the humanity. And therefore, we have not only to stop the greenhouse gas emissions, we have to cancel them completely and take out the carbon from the atmosphere. And this is possible. In the center stands 100% renewables that cuts 60% of all greenhouse gas emissions. So when you look to the world's biggest challenges to come to peace, to come to an energy that is really secure, independent from fossil and nuclear raw material in its imports, and climate protections. In all 3 points, 100% renewables is a solution. And therefore, we should come very, very fast to this solution in Ukraine, in Europe, globally, and everywhere. We simulated the world in 2019 that a 100% renewable world is possible. We have all the technologies. We have all the technologies to create energy, solar, wind, bioenergy, geothermal, and hydropower. We have all the storage technologies to balance the fluctuations of solar and wind. We can come with solar and wind electricity to the cars with e-cars and to the heating system with heat pumps and a lot of other technologies. So we have no technology problem. And the wonderful situation is to generate renewable energy balanced by batteries and other storage systems is the cheapest option to create energy. So Why should we pollute the world and create wars with fossil and nuclear energy when we have cheap renewable energy? I cannot understand that not everywhere in the world, the leaders of the world runs only for renewable energies. This is a task what we have in front of us, and when the political willingness is there, we can change the world in 10 years to 100% renewables. That's the outcome what we proposed with a lot of scientific reports. When we have exponential growth rates, the growth of renewables can come very, very fast. It is only dependent from the political willingness and the cancelling of all support for fossil and nuclear.
Incredible, Hans-Josef. That's what I learned from you. It sounds incredible. First, I'm really struck with your motivation. That one of your motivation was to mitigate and stop wars. And second, of course, all these problems what we have with climate change. But interestingly, all this fossil and nuclear energy, what is produced in the world, is very much connected to those people, I mean leaders of those countries who initiate the wars. And basically, when we're talking about 100% renewables, that's what I learned from you. We're talking about more peaceful and safe future for the world and every country. And in this line, of course, when we look carefully to Ukraine, to Israel, to these present wars which exist nowadays in our century, in our days, it is really scaring. But on the other hand, it gives a very clear motivation, as it was with you decades ago. You know, if you want to stop wars and if you want to stop climate change, we have to go to world denuclearization. And perhaps it will be the role of new world organizations, perhaps to substitute United Nations who couldn't tackle the war. It's failed, from my opinion, subjective opinion. And we should start with denuclearization of the weaponry worldwide. But actually, we have to go for the denuclearization, perhaps, of the energy markets worldwide. And this is interesting idea. And in this line, my second question is about European Green Deal. Ukraine as a member state, not a member state, as a candidate to a membership or to the European Union, and having association agreement is an active part of European Green Deal. I hope Ukraine is on track, but now we have the war and many plans has to be changed. So in this line, how do you see Ukraine in the process of European Green Deal because of the war in Ukraine and Israel as well? And who knows, perhaps we are on the edge of even bigger conflicts. We don't know yet, but the situation is dangerous. How do you see if European Green Deal is itself on track? And how do you see if Ukraine, with its policies and renewable energy efforts, is on track with European Green Deals? And what do we have to do to be on track according to the plans? What do you think, Hans-Josef?
First is to remember to the 70s. You are right. We had the war, the Yom Kippur War, and in USA, the President Jimmy Carter recognized this terrible situation, and he supported renewable energies that technology grows in a huge amount. He said, we want to get peace by renewable energies. No dependency and no financing wars by oil, gas, coal, and nuclear. But the influence of the fossil industry was very, very big. They supported the new president, Ronald Reagan, in his election period, and Ronald Reagan cancelled all the growth of renewable energy in US. He cancelled all the support and he switched to fossil energy. And we must remember and have it in our mind. As long as we support fossil and nuclear energy, we cannot have the growth what renewables need. And that's the problem of the Green Deal in Europe. Green Deal means that European Union should come to renewables by 45% in 2030. Much too less, much too low, and it means high dependence on fossil and nuclear as well. It will go on, and they support it. Pipelines here for oil and gas in Europe, everywhere, and go to LNG terminals, take the natural gas from other countries like Qatar or Saudi Arabia, who pollute the world and who make with the income wars and finance the terrorism. No, the European Green Deal is not high enough. As long as we support fossil and nuclear, it cannot come to 100% renewables. And this is the same in Ukraine. In Ukraine, plenty of people have learned that the dependency from Russian energy is a big point, that Ukraine cannot come really independent from Russia. They must cancel all the consumption, not only from Russia, as well as from the Arabian world or from US or everywhere, to get independence with 100% renewables. And this should be the target in Ukraine. Cancel all the subsidizing for nuclear and fossil and come to 100% renewables by 2030. You must support only renewables, and then they can grow very, very fast. Renewables can get an exponential growth rate. We have it at the moment in China. China has 500 gigawatt solar investment per year, and they double the investment every 2 years. When they go on with this doubling, as well as in wind power and in hydropower and geothermal and in bioenergy, and they do it, as well as in e-mobility and in storage system and in other systems and heating systems, and they do it, then China can come to 100% renewables by 2030. No one will believe it, but exponential growth rate shows it is possible. And we have examples in the world that industry revolutions run within 10 years. The personal computers covered the world in 10 years. Mobile phones covered the world in 10 years. And plenty other examples shows that the industry can run very, very fast when it is supported and not hindered. And therefore, when you have the political willingness in Ukraine, you can come to 100% renewables by 2030. And then you have your own energy. You have a lot of industries there. You can create your solar cells and your wind power and others in your country. You have a big industry history in Ukraine, and you can create it. You have a lot of new income for the people, and the people must not pay for fossil oil, gas, coal, and uranium. They have an income. They avoid the money that they must spend for the industry, and you have a secure system. At the moment, when we see that the Russians attack the Ukraine energy system, and they can really make big damages when they cut the power lines and big utilities or big energy creating systems, for example, in Zaporizhzhia, the nuclear power station. It is a disaster not only because of radioactivity pollution, it is also a disaster because you have no electricity. When you come to 100% renewables, you have millions of solar PV systems, of wind power systems, of small hydropower systems. In the western regions, in the Carpathian regions, you have big potential for small hydropower. And no one can attack millions of energy producing systems. And therefore you have a much higher security on energy when you go to renewable energies. So therefore this switch must be compromiseless, only go to renewable energies. And then you have a chance for more income, for cheap energy, for secure energy, and you protect also your environment. You must recognize Kiev and the other big cities are the most polluted towns in Europe with a high air pollution. You have cancer, you have diseases, and you have a lot of lung diseases. When you go to renewable energies, you get clean air with clean cars, with electric cars, and with clean heating systems, with heat pumps, and with others. So you can even come to a very healthy Ukraine. And when you create it with stored renewable energy, that is bioenergies from your agriculture fields, when you use it in bioenergy cooperation system in your villages and in your quarters of your towns and everywhere, and add to solar and wind in wintertime co-generation from vegetable oil with biogas or with wood firing, then you can create electricity and heat in the dark and cold wintertime, addition to wind and solar in summer, autumn, and springtime, and wind comes also a lot in wintertime. Therefore, this is the best possibilities. When you add your storage system, this means seasonal storage systems with the overflow of solar radiation in the summertime and bring it to the wintertime with earth storage system, with redox flow systems. Batteries can balance the day and night fluctuations, and we have a lot of others. You can use local produced green hydrogen to store energy from summer to winter time. We have all the possibilities, all the technologies are ripe, and you can come to this. So first, what you have to do together with the European Union, go to 100% renewables with a target by 2030. Invest only into renewables and nothing into fossil and nuclear. Then you have to look what is the best framework to do it. To create exponential growth rates in renewable generation, the best system is the fixed price system. The parliament set the price, how much the grid operator has to pay for the producer of renewable electricity, and this must be a fixed price, and you can go down year by year, because when the investment runs, the technology becomes cheaper and cheaper. Do not take the auctioning system. Auctioning system hinders all the people in the regions to go with renewable energies, because this auctioning system is highly bureaucratic. They can be financed only by big finance structures and not to the communities, to cooperatives in your villages, by the private people, by the farmers and others. It is too big for it. Cancel auctioning system, come back to the successful fit-in tariff system. And the last point in the infrastructure is, first is, you must not raise the electricity price to pay the refinancing for the investors for the renewables. Though plenty, the EEG surcharge is not so high because renewables are very cheap. But this less financing, let it finance by the supporting schemes from the European financiers. You get money from the European Union to develop renewable energies, to make climate protection and others. Take it to finance the increasing. We call it the Get Fit system. And we made a proposal how to make a Get Fit system for Ukraine, how to come to a Ukraine investment fast, very fast, that everyone can take part. And when we remember to Germany, 80% of the renewable successful investments the last 20 years, 80% come from private people, not from the big utilities. And therefore, to go with the people, that's the best way, the democratic way, and the successful increasing way.
Yes, Hans-Josef, I had several questions ahead before you started to tell that what we heard from you right now, and it seems that you covered a lot of questions, but actually many new questions arised. And I think, during this war, on one hand, you could think it is difficult to apply new, policies, but at the same time, perhaps war is the best time to apply new policies for decentralized renewable energy system in Ukraine in order to tackle the war risks. It's exactly the picture which you were showing in your statement right now. And I think, we had some scarves from green tariffs, from tariffs on solar energy in Ukraine. Definitely, auction system is not working that well to make our market stable. And I think your statement about this FIT tariff is quite right and correct. And, one of the best solutions, I think it could be to create European Union Ukraine working group to plan the policies to implement for the strategic development of Ukrainian energy system until 2030, and to ask you to co-chair this group. I think that could be the best solution. Because
yes, when you have influence to
yes.
the European Union and can propose my person, I would do it. Yes, I would love to help Ukraine to go very fast to 100% renewables.
Yeah, I think it could be definitely a solution, because my understanding is that sometimes the Ukrainian government could take some recommendations from the European Union and review it as basically ready roadmap, but not as a suggestion to discuss, to have negotiations, to come to better solutions, because at the end, Ukrainian folks, they have a ground-based understanding of what is there in Ukraine and how you can implement those ideas on the Ukrainian soil. And that's why I think these kind of discussions and negotiations are extremely important, to see two opinions. And as we know, the best opinion comes in between two. And then perhaps it could be a better decision. And perhaps even by this working group, we could create very interesting models to be applied by other states of the European Union and worldwide. So it could be interesting, and I think it could be one step ahead to create green economy both in Ukraine and in Europe. So perhaps just a little clarification question to you, Hans-Josef, in line of what you've told, what I told right now as a feedback to that what I heard from you. What is your vision of the war, of present war, impact on Ukraine in terms of green economy? How do you see it will help us to be faster, as you suggest, to be fast in creating green economy and towards 100% green renewable energy?
First of all, a war cannot really help.
Yep.
We must end the war. This is for Russia to do it. Russia is the aggressor, and they have to take back all the soldiers from Ukraine, even from Crimea and every region. Eastern Ukraine, Donetsk region, and others. So this is the first point. But as long as Russia makes the war, you have to think what is the best protection for defending. And defending means in the regions where the Russians cannot be so aggressive, you must develop your country very fast. You must develop for self-independence in energy, in agriculture, in everything. The more regions who are independent, the more regions, villages, cities, towns, and others, the more regions do not have the need to cooperate and to give a lot of money outside, money that you need for rebuilding your houses, your cities, to rebuild your infrastructure, your destroyed infrastructure and others. And the more you can have prosperity, even within the war, in the regions where is fortunately not the war so very high and strong, and this renewable energy stands in the center to make all these regions independent. I mentioned already, when you have a solar powered with battery energy system for your school in your village, you are not dependent on the grid. When the grid is destroyed with any rocket, you have suddenly 100 villages without electricity. But all the solar served and wind power served details are free of them. And when you have the cogeneration everywhere, make it with vegetable oil and not with fossil oil. Vegetable oil, you have so plenty on your fields. You have your storages full with vegetable oils because you cannot export your agricultures. And therefore, take it to bring this vegetable oil into your generators when you need generators. So this is self-consumption, independence, and you have big agriculture areas. You can take them for big solar fields, for big wind power. These solar fields protect the agriculture region for high radiation in the summer, to save the water in the soil and save the agriculture results. You can take your sunflower oil or rapeseed oil to make oil for your generators, and for biogas you can take the leaves and the rest, and you can take from sunflower, for rapeseed, the rest to eat it, to feed your cows. The plants can bring everything to bring food, energy, and even they can bring the basic for chemical products to make plastics or environmental plastics from the plants.
And this is bioplastic.
Yeah, this is bioplastic and not fossil plastic. You have the possibility in Ukraine to do it. And therefore, you should concentrate all your investing into industry, into business and others on these points. Emission-free technologies to develop your country. And these are not only emission-free when you make a regenerative green agriculture, you can create also carbon sinks, and you can make your soil and your agriculture areas very fruitful. And you need not so plenty fertilizers. Fertilizer is also dependency from abroad, and you cannot create it. When you take your own fertilizers from the biogas stations to feed up the plants on your agri fields, then you are really independent to make it on every place.
Great, great. Hans-Josef, this is incredibly valuable suggestions which you have for Ukraine and Ukrainian green economy development, renewable energy development, because yeah, Ukraine is absolutely agricultural land with a lot of ag businesses who are keen to develop the energy divisions of the businesses because they have so much of raw materials to deal with. And this is all about also economy and about the profits, which can be green profits. And it becomes more and more interesting for Ukrainian business, and we could see it. And this is very fast process. You know, all of them they became like this over the past 10 years, even less, 7 years. So they were very fast, as you suggest to be fast. And I see their motivations. They want to apply and invest in the new technologies that quickly, as quickly as possible, to make sure that this economy can work. They could be more decarbonized and more renewable in their production. Hans-Josef, I think I exceeded all the main questions I wanted to ask you, and I know that you will have your next meeting very soon, your podcast very soon, but perhaps you would like to have some finalization remarks in this interview and your wishes for Ukraine, for Ukrainian renewable energy and Ukrainian green economy before and after our victory in this aggression of Russia against Ukraine.
My first wish is peace for Ukraine. My second wish is develop your country to make it independent from foreign areas in energy, in food, in materials, and everywhere. You have the possibility. And I think one point is very important. Yes, European Union can support you, but European Union is also influenced on the Commission level and on the level of the leaders by the fossil and nuclear industry. They will not bring you the ideas with 100% renewables. Therefore, you must develop this idea in your country by yourself, in every village, in every town, and very important, in your government. Your president must know about the possibilities and must bring this idea and this target to the political discussion. When the Ukraine government backs the European Union to support Ukraine to go by 2030 to 100% renewables, then European Union will support it. But when we have it at the moment, unfortunately, that the government supports new nuclear power stations, new coal power stations, or new gas from LNG or anything else, then you are not on the real track. Therefore, when you are able to influence your own government to go this way, then I see a big possibility that European Union will support Ukraine on the way to 100% renewables by 2030.
Yes. Hans-Josef, I would like to thank you for all your efforts, which you've done and continue to do for a better world, for a cleaner world, for peaceful world, and for all your great suggestions which you do for Ukraine. And I really hope that it's just a continuation of your activities and joint activities of Ukraine and European Union for our better future, clean future, and peaceful future. Thank you very much, Hans-Josef, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Dimitri. It's a great pleasure. And I will support Ukraine in the future as well.
Thank you very much, Hans-Josef.
Thank you.